She called him dad for over 20 years. He called her his daughter right up until the day she killed him. What she found on his computer 8 days before that and what she did with it after is one of the strangest and saddest true crime stories we've covered here. This is the case of Jade Janks and Tom Merriman. Jade Janks' parents split up when she was young, and her mom, Jeanette, was dealing with mental health struggles and substance abuse issues that kept pulling her in and out of the picture. So Jade grew up with mostly just her dad, Steve. And sometime in the 90s, when Jade was somewhere between 10 years old and 14, depending on what source you trust, her mom married a guy named Tom Merriman, and that marriage ended up shaping the rest of Jade's life more than almost anything else in it. Merriman became a real fixture in her life, a stepfather who actually stuck around and showed up. He and Jeanette had a son together, Jade's half-brother Cash, and when Jade turned 18, she moved in with Merriman to help raise the baby. She lived there maybe 5 years or so. She took classes at a community college, and she moved out at around 23. Even after her mom and Merriman split for good, following a marriage that fell apart and got back together 3 separate times, Jade stayed close to him. He called her his daughter. She called him dad. And every source I dug up on this case agrees on that much. By the time the pandemic hit in 2020, Merriman was in his 60s, dealing with heart and liver problems. He was walking with the walker, still fighting a long battle with alcohol and sleep medication. Jade moved into the little unit right next door to him that April, partly because she wanted to be close during the lockdown, back when everybody's whole social life had shrunk down to whoever lived closest to you and had a working oven. She stayed cooking him dinner most nights, day after day, a routine you only keep up for someone you actually love. Then December 23rd, 2020 happens. Merriman had fallen at home about a week earlier, and he was in a rehab facility recovering. Jade was over at his house tidying up while he was gone. She bumped his computer mouse. The screensaver wakes up, and there's a photo on the screen of a woman's bare chest. She looks a little closer. She recognizes that bare chest because it's her own body. She's obviously shocked, but what she says she found after digging through that computer was a massive stash of nude photos of herself, some organized into folders by body part, some dating back to when she was 16 years old. She testified the original pictures were taken consensually with boyfriends her own age and kept on her own devices, and that she believed Merriman had somehow taken them from her over the years without her knowing. If that's true, a jury never got a clean answer on whether it was those images that would legally count as sexual child abuse material, meaning Merriman could have faced real criminal charges of his own. Jade said the discovery wrecked her. She started sleeping with a knife nearby. She had friends come over and stand guard while she showered. And she reached out to a man named Alan Roach. Unfortunate last name. Someone she knew as a fixer, a very discreet guy you call when you have a problem that outgrows your own 2 hands. Roach texted back that he could help her out. 8 days passed between that discovery and December 31st, the day Merriman gets discharged from rehab. He's alert. He's walking on his walker, mostly worried about his medical coverage lapsing at the new year. Jade picks him up at around 11:19 that morning. 11 minutes later, she texts Roach, "I dosed the hell out of him." The day turns into this strange little errand run after that. A liquor store stop she'd later say was for Merriman himself, a drugstore, then a hardware store where she buys black gloves, towels, red cord, zip ties, and spray paint, leaving Merriman alone in the car for almost half an hour while she shops. She'd say later that it was all for a painting project, a way to stall while Roach figured out how to help. Prosecutors called it a murder kit. Either way, there's a woman standing in a hardware store checkout with an armful of zip ties and gloves, while her drugged stepfather waits in a hot parking lot outside, and the cashier is just ringing her up like any other Tuesday afternoon. The worst hour of somebody else's life can look completely ordinary from 3 feet away. By early afternoon, she's texting Roach that she can't move him alone. She calls her ex-boyfriend, Adam Sipolak, who's at a tattoo appointment, and he can't come. She calls a friend who's out of town. Eventually, 2 other friends help load a barely conscious Merriman into her car, believing they're helping him get to the hospital. Around 2:30, she texts Roach that Merriman's waking up, that she didn't want to be the one to do this. When Roach sends a man named Brian Solomon over, Jade tells him that she's already drugged Merriman and asks Solomon to strangle him. Solomon says no, and he leaves. Her last message to Roach that afternoon is that she is now on her own. That night, Adam, her ex-boyfriend with the tattoo appointment, comes by because her door is always unlocked and she'd asked him to come check on her. She tells him, pretty calmly by his account, that she'd found the photos, drugged Merriman in the car, and suffocated or strangled him. She asks for his help staging it to look like an overdose. He says no, and the next morning he calls the sheriff. That same night, Jade goes into Merriman's house, smashes his hard drive, pours alcohol on it for good measure, destroying the one piece of evidence that could have backed up everything she was alleging about him. In the middle of the worst night of her life, she stops to make sure nobody could ever prove her side of it. On New Year's Day, she checks on Merriman, suspects that he's probably dead, and instead of calling for help, drives to a nearby hospital and takes a wheelchair, loading it through her car window instead of the hatch, for reasons no one has ever fully explained. She confirms, by touch, that he's cold. She can't get him into the chair and covers him with a blanket and a pile of boxes and trash in the shared driveway. She tells a neighbor, hey, don't look too closely at that pile, which if I'm a nosy neighbor, that's the first thing I'm going to do. And at one point, she even checks a law enforcement database to see if Roach has been arrested, still tracking angles and worst-case scenarios days into all of this. On January 2nd, a detective doing a welfare check finds Merriman underneath all that trash. She's pulled over, driving away, and fires off one last text to Roach. Lose my number. The forensics in this case almost ended up being beside the point. The autopsy pointed to ambient intoxication as the cause of death, with some petechia, tiny burst blood vessels near his eye, that could suggest strangulation or could just as easily be explained by the body settling after death. What actually built the case was digital. A blister pack of sleep medication with Jade's DNA on it and not Merriman's, a paper bag with her DNA outside and his inside, rope, zip ties, and knotted towels in her car with both of their DNA on them, and her own text messages laid out in order, practically writing the prosecution's closing argument for them, including the line everyone in the courtroom still brings up, where she describes the plan falling apart with the words, "Weekend at Bernie's." And if you haven't seen Weekend at Bernie's, it's where they carry around a dead body, trying to make it look like it's alive. That 8-day gap between the discovery and the killing became a huge legal problem for her defense. For a jury to consider this kind of sudden, heat of passion reaction, the law wants that reaction to be immediate, not something that simmered for over a week while she shopped for supplies and lined up help. At trial, in December 2022, her attorney argued that this was an accidental overdose. She panicked and covered it up. This is not a murder. Her defense did not lean hard into the abuse allegations during the trial itself because she was pleading not guilty. And you don't build a motive of defense for a crime that you say never happened. The jury did not buy the accident theory. She was convicted of first-degree murder. At sentencing in March of 2023, for the first time publicly, she said Merriman had abused her starting when she was a young teenager, describing years of what she called psychological manipulation. She offered no apology to his family, only telling them there was more to the story than they'd ever understand. His brother told the court that he thinks about Tom every day and wonders how this happened. Jade was sentenced to 25 years to life. She appealed, and in October 2024, the conviction was upheld. Butterfly Farms, the conservation nonprofit Merriman spent years building, is still running today in Encinitas, doing the work he started completely separate from all of this. Jade Janks will be eligible for parole around 2048, when she's about 64 years old, the same age Tom Merriman was the day she killed him. Thanks for listening to 10 Minute Murder, bingeable true crime stories. I'm Joe. Hello. I'm the host. And here's an email. Subject, my barber listens now. Hey Joe, I mentioned your podcast during a haircut a few months ago. Went back this week and my barber immediately started talking about one of your episodes. It's kind of funny knowing I accidentally created another listener while getting a trim. Ryan in Toledo, Ohio. And Ryan, first of all, thank you for the email. And second, yeah, I think that it goes without saying, your barber is a fantastic source of information. Shout out Dan, my barber. If I need tires for my car, if I need to know the best places in town to eat, if I need to know like what place I need to, get something repaired at my house, who's going to rip you off and who's not. People tell Dan things all the time, and I'm sure it's like that for almost every barber out there. If you need information about something or something going on in the town, your barber probably knows. And now that you've told yours about the podcast, he's probably going to tell other people, which I truly do appreciate, Ryan. Thank you for spreading the word. Hey, if you're a brand new listener to this podcast, welcome in. Put your feet up, get comfortable, because there are hundreds of episodes in the back catalog for you to go listen to. You can also go to 10minutemurder.com, find listen links. If you don't like where you're listening, you can find more places to listen. You can also get links to where you can follow the show on social media or contact me at 10minutemurder.com. You OG listeners, just know that I love you with my whole heart. Thank you for sharing the podcast, for interacting with the content that I put on social media, emailing, all the things. I really do appreciate it. And that's going to do it. That's your episode for today. Thank you again for listening to 10 Minute Murder. See you next time.